Hello, everybody. Welcome to Couch Entertainment. I am Joe Dubs, and we're going to be talking about the TV show on Sci-Fi called The Ark. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's talk some couch entertainment. Now, this show is made by Dean Devlin. He's the producer of Independence Day and the Stargate movie. And let me just point that out, that it is a producer, not a writer, and not a director. Every show today has to have these big budgets, and usually the flock will go towards big budget TV shows like The Last of Us, Rings of Power, Halo TV show, anything that's in like the millions and billions. So, a little warning, when you're going into this show, make sure you're not going into it thinking that you're going to see some spectacular sci-fi CGI and presentation. Remember, this is on the Sci-Fi show. Usually everything is low budget. Now, what I'm going to be covering today is a non-spoiler review, kind of like a first impressions. Now, how I'm going to do TV shows is I'm going to give each new series 3 episodes free, meaning I'm going to watch all 3 episodes, and then I'm going to go into what I call a, kind of like a strike system. So after the 3 episodes, after they're done, and if it still has my attention where I'm liking it, then that's a good thing. But when I start to see some red flags or stuff that I don't want to deal with, then what I'm going to do is a 1 strike rule. But before a 1 strike rule, I'm going to do a warning. So let's say the 3 episodes pass by, and then the 4th episode is a bad one where I'm like, I don't think so. I'll hit it with the warning, and then I'll watch the next episode, which would be episode 5. And if episode 5 is not a good one, then it gets that strike, and then I bow out. Because I'm not going to... My main thing with this channel is I'm not going to be doing hate watching where I'm literally, covering stuff, unless I cover shows like, Star Trek Picard, which all the seasons so far have not been great. But once I start finishing something, I have to finish it. So I have to finish Picard because 1, it's Star Trek, and 2, it's Patrick Stewart, one of my favorite captains in Star Trek. Other things, like, there might be some exceptions where I'm just like, it is so bad that I have to make fun of it for a video. So that's something to look forward to. But how I'm going to be covering some of my coverages of TV shows and possibly movies is 3 points: plot, presentation, and writing. So let me go over with the plot of this TV show. The plot is they're on a ship called the Ark, and people are in their sleeping pods. I don't know. It's cryo. I'll call them cryopods. I don't know the full word, and I don't want to look stupid while I'm on the video here. But they're all in their pods, and then all of a sudden the ship is starting to crumble, meaning there's debris that's hitting the pods, which opens up one of the characters' pods, which should be Lieutenant Susan Ingram, and her pod opens. She helps everybody. They get on their suits, and then they're finally in the clear. It's very interesting of what is going on, because in this episode they deal with 2 issues. 3. One is them trying to escape the initial danger. 2, they find out that they're low on rations. They have to, ration their water and food, because during all that debris that happened, they don't know what happened. It could have been space debris. It could have been asteroids that hit the ship. And when that happened, all the scientists and engineers and officers pretty much died. And what is left over is kind of like the low management portion of the ship. So you're dealing with waste management. You're dealing with botanists. You're dealing with maintenance. So you have your mechanics. All good, by the way, because those things is what you're going to need to run the ship. And then you have some programmers and stuff, and they deal with life support and all that stuff. It's a thing between food and water, and I thought that was good to kind of give the danger of what's going on, because Their main mission on the Ark is that they're trying to get to another planet because something's happening on Earth. And I think what's great about the TV show right now, which in the beginning I was like, this is so not original, right? They're like, oh, okay, everybody's in their cryopods. They wake up. They're trying to save the human race. They're trying to get to a planet. Big deal. But things then mysteries start, popping up. Like there is one of the characters is sitting at a TV screen, like a monitor, and seeing his family. He's like, oh, this is 4 years old and all that stuff. It's kind of crazy. He makes like a side remark that, hey, why haven't we been getting any more transmissions? And the officer is kind of like shrugging him off, and you don't know if he knows something about that. So there's an intention or an implication that the government lied to the people on Earth, and maybe Earth no more. And that's why the people on the Ark, because when you think of the Ark, you think of Noah's Ark, right? When the flood happened, Noah brought all the animals and stuff onto the Ark while God flooded the earth and killed pretty much everything that is on Earth that is not in the Ark. You have an idea that that could possibly be happening. And then you have other things like there's people impersonating each other. So that could be another thing that's going on as far as, are there impersonators that are on the ship that are not supposed to be on the ship? And then there's other things that happen as well. So that's pretty much the plot. I will say when you're first going into the show, when you when you see it, try not to be like, oh, this is rolling your eyes, I've seen this before. Wait until you get to the like near the half and end of the episode, is because that's when it starts to give you, some storylines that they're going to be doing. And keep in mind, this is on the Sci-Fi channel. You're getting low budget, like I said before, and it's not going to be top notch. It's not going to be your Game of Thrones and all that. So you should be expected. But we did get some good shows on Sci-Fi. We got Stargate SG-1. I'm trying to think of other things. Warehouse 13, Eureka. So, give it a chance. Presentation, I think, is kind of a little bit downer. When I think of presentation, I want to see like great CGI. When I looked at the CGI in this, I kind of laughed a little bit. But then again, it's the Sci-Fi channel. Usually all your big moments are going to be in sets that are already made in studios, and it's not going to be kind of like The Expanse. It's not going to have that great CGI when you're looking at the ship and looking into the deep space and all that stuff. So my comparison is PS3 graphics. and it bothers me because when they switch to the set where you see all the actors and all the characters and all that stuff, and then you look at something that is in space in the spaceship, there's a big difference, and you kind of chuckle. The sets are kind of fine right now. There's not a lot of that we explored. We saw the bridge to the ship. Looks pretty cool. And when I say pretty cool, I'm a big Power Ranger fan. I know this is like probably making people like, God damn it, this is stupid. What are you trying to say? But like when you see Zordon and I Alpha and all that stuff, and you see like all the computers. Now I won't say the same computer set is there, but just the lighting of it and seeing the desk with the monitors kind of reminded me of the Power Rangers in the headquarters that they were in, where Zordon and Alpha was. You have that. There's like this dome area where it was like inventory during one of the episodes. They're in that certain section, and I won't spoil it for you because something happens in that dome. And when you look at that dome, you're kind of like, hey, that kind of looks like something that would grow if it was on Earth. So that's my only hint for you. And then you have, the med babe. That's where you get your doctor character. Is not Eva. That's the Serbian. Dr. Sanji Kabir. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Her character is mostly in the med bay on that episode. You have the maintenance bay where you have Eva and Harris. And then, there's the cafeteria. That's where you see what rations they're eating. They're kind of eating like looks like kind of like a cookie. It was weird. It was a cookie, and then you had like a vial of water, and that's how they were rationing things. The presentation on that was okay. I'm not gonna like bring it down in any way, because it's kind of like any TV show in today, even when it's a high budget, would look like. As far as the costumes, or the uniforms that they had, it kind of reminds me of like Lost in Space, new one on Netflix, a little bit. The suit is made so when you're in the cryopods that your muscles and stuff are like being worked so that when you wake up you're able to move, and then once you turn the switch off, that's when your body is not used to, because you've been asleep all those years, that you're just going to fall to the ground. So you're wearing those suits mostly during this episode. And how the suits work is, if there's a breach and you need oxygen, you have to put on these helmets, and the oxygen tanks are pretty much inside the helmet. So the helmet's kind of huge. I'm going to deduct a little point on that, is like the helmets kind of look a little weird because it's so huge, because you have like this big neck area of oxygen tank and stuff. So yeah, that's the three things. The CGI is kind of PS3 graphics, PlayStation 3. Or if I had to compare like a year, I would say like the early 2000s type of CGI. The sets are okay. The costumes could, use a little work. As far as the writing, the writing kind of goes up and down in this episode. In the beginning, I was kind of like, man, this dialogue just sucks. But then there's other dialogues that are like kind of good, because the doctor character with Ensign Trent was okay. Jasper is cool. And then you have the Bryce or something like that, Lieutenant Bryce. He's kind of like the nice looking dude. Then you have like your mean girl, Kat Brandis is in there. And then the security guard. He kind of has like I won't say Russian, but it's definitely like maybe Swedish or Finnish accent, where he's just like he's patrolling the area. It just has that B-rated movie dialogue. But then you have stuff that is with so we got here Susan versus Spencer, which are two lieutenants that are having like power control that is happening, because between water and food there is a part where Susan is looking for priority for food, but in order to get that food, they have to like give up water. So Spencer at some point was like, hey, you didn't consult us with us. You kind of just went on your own and said, we're going to be doing this. So Spencer kind of looks at it as a democracy. And then Susan is just like tyrannical type of person where she's the boss. So you have that going on. But there is parts where I was like getting intrigued, but then other parts I kind of rolled my eyes about, like some of the accents that are kind of bad. Like some of them weren't good. There was a Serbian accent that happened. There was some like bad Russian accent, because keep in mind these are all like different countries in one pod. So you have people that are American, Canadian, European, Russia, China, and all that stuff, and India. So you have that going on. So the writing, I think, needs work. But keep in mind, this is like the pilot episode. So they're trying to set up everything. And like I said before, the first half, I was kind of like bowing out a little bit. But when the plot lines start to form, because there's a plot line, like I said, between Susan versus Spencer. You have water versus food. You have people that are infiltrating the ships in some way. You have the government conspiracy. So having that stuff is kind of making me interested with the show. Now things could change when they try to execute those plot lines, it's just going to be either bad or it could be amazing. Who knows? So, I would say give it a chance. Now, closing wise, I usually when I explain things, just like how I explain the CGI with the PlayStation 3 graphics, what I would explain how I would compare the plot and everything, and I know I'm kind of backtracking on the plot. Imagine Lord of the Flies meets Lost, the TV show. So you have like all these young people trying to work together and survive, and then you have the Lost aspect of mystery, and hopefully we get a better closing than what we got on Lost. Those are the two things that I would compare. So I wanted to give you guys that non-spoiler review. Obviously, if you want a deep dive as far as like, with spoilers, make sure to give about, I'll make the limit. Give me 10 likes in this video, and I will do a spoiler review, whether it be live or whether I do a video. As far as the other shows that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be covering Star Trek Picard, which is happening on February 16th. So keep in mind on that. And I'm trying to look to see what movies I can cover for you guys. But I kind of wanted to get this non-spoiler review out there. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Like if you want to get a spoiler review, or just like if you just like this video in general. And make sure to follow our Twitter, because Couch Entertainment is part of Big Trouble Archives, which is a network of podcasts. We have other podcasts that are on there, so I highly recommend you to check them out. I'm on most of them because I'm producing most of them, and it comes with my friends. I have Zach, Andy, and Chaz, and all that stuff, and we do a movie ranking podcast, which is called Big Trouble Podcast. We have a wrestling podcast called Getting Some Color, and then we have a horror game podcast called Lost in Nightmares, and then we have many more that we're working on as well. So we have a Twitter, which is BTA Content. So if you go twitter.com/BTA Content, and then we have a Facebook, which is Big Trouble Archives, and we also have a website, which is BigTroubleArchives.com. But until next time, I will see you in the next video back on this couch.